Well, for reaction to the new legislation, I've been speaking to the former UK Immigration Minister, Tory peer Timothy Kirkhope.
Well, I think this bill is probably quite aptly titled. It's called the Illegal Immigration Bill. I think the emphasis should probably be on the word illegal, because as far as I'm concerned, as former immigration minister, I do not like this. I do not like what it says. And I don't think that it's going to be very easy for the government to actually pursue what they suggest they need to pursue. For instance, as far as asylum seekers are concerned, we all know there is international law that says that it is not possible for an asylum seeker per se to be illegal. People around them, people smugglers, ought to be dealt with. But of course, what we haven't put enough resource into is firstly dealing with those people smugglers, but secondly also in dealing with applications by asylum seekers quickly and efficiently. The amount of resource we're going to spend on other things seems to me would be better placed in dealing with those issues ourselves.
So as far as you're concerned, this is not workable?
I don't think it's workable, but also worse than that, I don't think it's desirable. As I said, an awful lot of people smugglers should be tackled. And what people don't understand is these people smugglers are not in the EU or elsewhere in the world. An awful lot of them are here in the United Kingdom. So I cannot see why we cannot put more resource into dealing with them. And the other thing I think we have to do is we really have to discuss with our EU neighbours. Now that we're outside the EU, we're no longer able to benefit from returning asylum seekers to other European countries, which we could before under the Dublin Agreement, something that I drafted myself when I was an MEP. So we need to re-establish some form of agreement with the EU that allows this to happen, rather than doing what we're presently doing, which is breaking the law or intending to break the law, international law, and also behaving in a way which I think is just not up to the standards of humanity, which this country has been very proud of up to now.
Well, I was going to ask your thoughts on the news that it's been revealed that the ministers actually have admitted the plan to deport asylum seekers without recourse to the courts has more than a 50% chance of being in breach of the UK's commitment under human rights laws.
Yes, the Convention of 51, the Refugee Convention, is very clear. And I think it's very difficult to avoid that. And also, although I'm a lawyer, I'm a modest lawyer, and unlike an awful lot of other lawyers who are going to make a lot of money out of this, I would rather we weren't in the place that we seem to be going. Firm but fair was the phrase that I used, first time used when I was immigration minister, dealing with both illegal immigration but also asylum. These two things are separate. Immigration is subject to rules, and if people behave illegally, they should be immediately deported. Asylum, if you don't meet the criteria of the 51 Convention, again, you should be immediately removed. And therefore, we need to spend more money on doing just that. If we did that, that would not only deter people with false claims from coming here, but it would also send out the right message. At the moment, all we're saying is basically, we're going to turn nasty and we're going to appeal to the public with our nasty message. And hopefully that will help us politically. But it certainly doesn't sort out the pressures that there are currently, admittedly, on our system. And we really have to decide what kind of future we want for this policy. And my own view is that this particular proposal is not going to achieve it.
There is some talk tonight of calls for the Home Secretary to reach an agreement with France for perhaps a joint Rwanda-type scheme. Should that be a topic of conversation?
No, the French don't want to know about Rwanda. The French don't want to know about other places. The French would like to reach further agreements with us, and I hope we can. But that has to be in the context of the whole EU, where, of course, it's very important for there to be some kind of balanced arrangement to take the responsibility of people who arrive. How many thousands of people have arrived in Italy in the last few weeks? Thousands of them have arrived in Italy, and the Italians are dealing with it in conjunction with other European countries. But, this is not a perfect arrangement. Every country has pressures at the moment from various movements of people. So we have to define which people are wanting economic migration and look at their cases individually, but we also have to look at asylum applications. Interestingly, of all the people that have been arriving, when they have had their cases dealt with, something like 75% of them have been acknowledged to be subject to the asylum laws and being given refugee status. I think that's myself way too high, because I think meeting the criteria of the convention is quite a tough job. To prove that you're in danger of your life or your freedom isn't an easy thing to prove. But we need to have an officer doing that early on their arrival, not months and years later when we spend vast amounts of money housing them and not dealing with the cases. So we need to put our money really into that and get it dealt with. And when people do not meet the criteria, whether it's illegal immigration or whether it's asylum applications, they should then be removed from the country without delay. And I did that when I was immigration minister. It was successful, but it was also seen to be very fair in treatment of the people that were coming here.
Just a final thought, if I may. One of the comments the Home Secretary made today that has sparked much debate is her claim that 100 million asylum seekers could qualify to come and live in Britain under current rules. And I quote, she said, "They are coming here." How accurate is that?
It's not accurate at all. All one has to look at is the other European countries that are taking on people who are arriving, seeking refuge from some very nasty places in the world. Albania is not one, incidentally, and there we need to obviously work with the Albanian government more than we have to make sure people don't leave Albania. But the truth of the matter is there are other countries of the world which have much more of an impact. Germany, for instance, Italy, for instance. Just take a look at the figures. Our numbers, even if they are coming in the wrong way, are not as great as others. And I think we need to bear that in mind when we make these extravagant claims, as has been made by the Home Secretary.
That was the Conservative peer, Lord Kirkhope, former UK Immigration Minister.